Welcome back to what the hell are we? Welcome back to Grappling Legacy Lounge. By the way, I don't edit these. I just freaking cut it and go. So that's in there.
Hey, whatever works.
We're here with Danny Vizcaya. We were joking about that. My camera just shut off, but not this camera, so we're good. This is how this podcast is going to go. It's just going to be that way. So, Dan, what have you been up to, man?
Nothing.
Wrestling?
Recruiting, working, and the kids with baseball like every single weekend. Well, at least with my son. My daughter just plays high school stuff now.
We should actually tell our audience of two people what you do. So you are a scout, recruiter, and coach for Aurora University. Is it just the girls, or do you do guys too?
No, we do both.
You do both?
Yeah, we have a men and women's team.
Okay. But I wasn't sure if you just focus on one or the other, or how that works.
We try to break them up to where, okay, you're going to, because I'm the bigger guy coach, so we try to break it up like, okay, you got between 74 and heavyweight, and this guy has between this, and this guy has between that and that. Okay. But most of the guys, they deal with more of the girls freestyle, so which is a lot easier. So then they're able to get girls from certain places. I probably recruited this year. I probably got like 6 or 7 girls that I personally went out and looked at.
Yeah.
4 or 5 guys. But building the program, it's pretty much like word of mouth.
Do you travel for that, like all around the states, or is it just mostly local?
No, usually for girls, mostly it's local.
Yeah.
And then ever since, Instagram made it a little easier to reach out to people. We're really more reaching out to like junior colleges and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a lot harder to get good high school kids because of the fact of, if they're good, they can, why go D3 when you can go D2 or NAIA?
Yeah.
So it's hard to really get them. They have to be like with us for a long time.
Yeah.
In order for us to really like commit to us.
So basically you're a feeder into like a D1 maybe?
No, I mean, we've had guys that try to go D1, but we're pretty much, D3 is usually a feeder into a D2.
Yeah. I was just in Connecticut for Tap Cancer Out, and I didn't realize NCAA is it NCAA D3, D2, and D1?
Yeah, it's all 3.
I never realized that.
Yeah.
Because
oh, really?
Yeah, see? I was at so it was hosted at Connecticut University, I want to say, and they had all these banners and talking about NCAA, but then it was like Division II. I was like, oh, I guess I never realized that, but I mean, it makes sense. I never went to college, so
yeah, no, it goes.
How would I know?
It goes NJCAA, which is junior college, which is like high school 2.0, and then it goes NAIA, and then it goes D3, D2, D1.
Okay, I knew like D3, D2, D1, but I just didn't realize. I don't know why it wasn't
all set up.
Yeah. So that's cool. So you still like doing jiu-jitsu too?
Yeah. I think it's a lot easier for me to do open mat.
Yeah, just roam.
Yeah, just from all the traveling and stuff like that. But I feel like my game has always been, especially in wrestling too, to where I'll take a couple classes, I'll take a couple months of classes, and then it's just going to open mats at different places.
Yeah.
Because then you start getting those butterflies because, you train with somebody for so long, you're like, okay, I know he's going to do this and he's going to do that. And now when you go to a different gym, now you're nervous about
who's
the
doing
unknown.
What? Yeah.
So I think it's helped my game a lot. But yeah, I still kind of go to.
And you're like strictly no gi, right?
No, I do gi.
Do you?
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in a gi. I'm asking because like when you go to other gyms, are you putting on a gi or are you going no gi?
I usually I'll put the pants on and I'll carry my gi with me, like the tops.
Yeah.
But usually everybody's like,
let's do no gi.
Yeah, let's do no gi, and you're like, that's actually worse for you.
Yeah.
With the no gi, it's just because once I get sweaty, I can just be.
You just slide right through.
Yeah, just take it right off. So
that is kind of the nice thing about no gi is that once you get a little sweat going, you just slide through. The technique, it's kind of like freestyle wrestling. There's no technique involved.
Yeah, you can slip out of submissions and everything and get something quick.
Yeah.
But then when you go in the gi, and I mean, you know how it is. Some people just have like that gorilla grip, and you just can't break them off, and you're just like, I'm just gonna break your fingers.
This kid's got a gorilla grip. I think because he's younger, he doesn't have that arthritis going on in the knuckles, so
he's not.
He's like he definitely has that grip. So when he gets a hold of your gi, it's like, damn it.
Yeah, he wakes up in the morning. He's not like this.
He's not
like,
doing this.
Great.
Like my hands are in pain.
Yeah, he doesn't get it yet. especially during judo with a friend of mine. Talk about breaking grips.
Yeah.
I
Judo guys, man, they know how to.
they're ferocious with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You just grab it. Like I've grabbed his elbow a couple of times to set it up, and all he does is just go nope, and he
Yeah.
just pulls my hand off,
Yeah.
and it's like skin goes with it. Like it's horrible.
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
when you make that snap because they got it, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's how you know you broke a good grip, because that.
yeah. You hear it? Oh, it's not fun.
Oh. How did you how long have you been wrestling?
I started wrestling in the summer of my 6th grade year
Okay.
is when I started.
And you wrestled all the way high school, junior high, high school. Did you do IKWF?
I did, yeah. So I did IKWF because some kid told me about it, like in my summer of my 6th grade year.
Yeah.
So then I wrestled the summer of my 6th grade year, and in junior high, this is how old we are. Remember when junior high was only 7th and 8th grade?
Oh yeah.
There was no 6th grade.
There's no 6th grade. Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Think
So-
about that. It was called junior high too. It wasn't called middle school.
Yeah,
That I still say that. Like it's not middle school. It's junior high. Even though when I went, I think it was like the beginning of like what they called middle school in their 6th grade. But like, yeah. I'm dating myself.
no, yeah, which I never understood why.
Yeah.
It's like it's junior high. It's not middle school.
Yeah, it's junior high.
So I
It's-
did.
yeah.
I did that 7th and 8th grade year, and then 4 years of high school, 2 years at a community college, and then 2 years at a D2.
Was it around here?
Oh, was that Wabanti?
Oh, was that behind? Okay.
Yeah, we used to
That's
call
like right
ourselves
there.
Wawa Tex.
Yeah.
The Chiefs.
Did you go to Wabanti High School too?
No, I went to West Aurora.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I make fun of him all the time.
I think I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay. When did you get into jiu-jitsu then?
So when I went off to college, at McKendree University, it's a D2 school in Lebanon, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
My friends, they were like, "Hey, we should go do this and do that." I mean, before that, I got sucked into it because I cornered a guy at an MMA fight, and I started looking at it, going, "No, this is pretty cool. It's not bad, even though I don't like fighting,"
Right.
which is weird. And then after that, when I went off to college, I started getting more into it and
More into jiu-jitsu or
more,
MMA?
well, more into jiu-jitsu, the jiu-jitsu side, and then into MMA, and then I kind of stuck with them both for a little bit, and then
you fought in MMA, right?
I fought
Several
MMA,
times.
yeah.
Yeah. What's your record? You went pro, right?
Yeah, altogether, or just... So as an amateur, I was 11-0.
Okay.
As a professional, I was 10-4.
Do you have any titles?
Well, as an amateur, I held 4 belts in 3 organizations. As a professional, I had... My first belt was my Iowa, which is a RCC. It was against this guy named... he fought for Bellator and stuff like that. Now I'm drawing a blank on his name. But he was a bigger name than I was.
Yeah.
So that was the belt that I won. I had a couple of chances of winning the HFC belt, but that's where I jumped out of jiu-jitsu because a lot of guys were getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much I turned pro in 2010, and probably about 5 or 6 years ago, that's when, about 5 or 6 years ago, that's when I started jumping back into jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. You were,
So-
I think I remember this, maybe I'm wrong. You were on The Ultimate Fighter, right? Or
Yeah, I did.
Going into the house?
Yeah, I did season 19.
Okay.
I lost my fight to get into the house. I got irritated after that fight because both of the coaches on my side, so it was BJ Penn and Frankie Edgar.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I
like
had,
Frankie Edgar.
huh?
I like Frankie Edgar.
He's a nice guy. They're
I don't
a
know.
lot, a lot
Obviously, I don't
shorter
know
in
him
person.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know him in person, but I liked his fighting style.
Oh yeah, he was a machine. He kept
Yeah.
going after it. But yeah, the only thing that got me mad about that season, I had a pinch sciatica nerve in my right side because I wasn't used to like training all the time.
Yeah.
So of course for that I'm like, oh, this is gonna
Yeah,
change
you got to
my
be
life.
training all the time, right?
I threw my back out.
Yeah.
I still went. I lied about it half the time. They're like,
Yeah.
well, I see something, popping out your right side. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm all right. And he cleared me, which is weird.
Yeah. Nowadays, they would not do that.
Yeah, nowadays.
No
I'm
way.
like, that looks weird.
They'd be like, that looks weird. You're out.
Yeah.
But I feel fine. Nope,
it was,
you're out.
It was crazy, but both of the coaches, I had John Halkelman in my corner with Jason Pearl and Mark Coleman for BJ Penn. He was
Yeah.
in my corner. After the fight got done, John Halkelman came up to me. He goes, hey, you know, that sucks that happened, that you lost, but they owe you because that's illegal shots in the back of the head. So I kind of brushed it off at first. I was like, all right, no big deal. And then Frankie Edgar's head coach came up to me and goes, man, that was a good fight. I'm sorry that it went that way. I thought the referee was stopping it due to the legal blows. And I was like, me too. And then I started kind of getting into my head like, oh, I was cheated.
Cheated out.
But then, you know, when you look back on it, goes, oh, whatever.
Yeah,
it
such
happens.
is life.
It
Right?
is what it is.
Yeah. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
So, was that the last time you got into MMA? Were you done after that?
No, after that, I had a few more fights. I fought for the belt for HFC. I lost that by guillotine.
Okay.
But I was beating the brakes off the guy. But, you know, everybody says that. Like, I was beating him. Like, yeah, I know,
Sure.
but I just got caught.
Yeah.
And that's when I started going, I really got to really get back into jiu-jitsu again.
Yeah.
You know, really understanding the gi part and all this other stuff. That was when Anton was my coach.
Okay.
Remember Anton?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was my coach for that.
Carlson Gracie guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Former Carlson Gracie.
Former.
Yeah, former Carlson Gracie.
Definitely former. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that he was that at Prime?
Yeah, so I had, Sonny was my Muay Thai coach.
Yeah.
And I'd go there, and that's when, like the last podcast you and Joe and everybody was talking about, and also
With James.
And how it was.
Yeah, James was there for a long time.
Yeah, that's why I met him.
Yeah.
So I met him through Prime. This was when Prime was.
That's actually where I
different
met you,
first
too.
gen. At Prime?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right,
Because it was before Pika Pow.
Yep.
And Aaron was teaching there. So,
Yeah,
that's right.
and that's why, we all used to go there and do jiu-jitsu there.
Yeah. I was like, who the hell is this big guy? And what the hell?
Yeah, it was kind of like, what's this guy doing? I don't
What's
know.
this guy doing?
He's weird.
And why is it when I roll with him, it seems like he's just toying with me? Because he was.
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Oh, wow. So yeah, you've kind of been all over with a little bit of everything. You started way earlier. Like I started jiu-jitsu. Like I started wrestling same as you, 6th grade. And then throughout high school, I think I stopped my junior year-ish because I got hurt really bad and just never really recovered from it.
Mhm.
And then I needed to get a car and pay for that car, and life happened.
Oh, yeah.
But and then I started jiu-jitsu in like 2015, so I started way later than you. I wish I would have stuck with it though, because it's between wrestling and jiu-jitsu, there's nothing. In my opinion, there's no other sport like it.
Oh, yeah, because like when I think about it now I knew when I first started getting into jiu-jitsu and trying to understand what it is, it was when Carlson Gracie was on the east side in this industrial park. That's the first time I met like Ricardo Lamas and Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
They had that little industrial park area.
That's where I started.
Right there?
Yeah.
So I knew a bunch of guys there. And, after that, well, actually before that, the very first time I actually met Senior.
Yeah.
I knew Senior for a little bit.
Okay.
That was when like Sam Ferguson was there.
Yeah.
And, Miguel Torres, I knew him from Tommy
Yeah.
LaCure out in Plano. So I knew Senior beforehand, when he was here for a couple of years. And he was a great guy. He was very non-forgiving.
Yeah, I heard he was
jiu-jitsu.
I heard he was a tough coach.
He was. He was.
They were all like Sam was gone when I got there. Senior had already passed when I got there. So like all these guys that you mentioned, I know of them, but I never actually. I think I met Sam maybe twice, but everyone else was just gone by the time I got there. But I've heard the legends of Senior and all the stories.
Yeah, him and Cody.
Jeff was there.
Cody Lang,
Yeah.
Miguel, Stephen Bonner showed up a couple times. This is when I was like young.
Yeah.
This is like when I was still kind of in high school, and I'm trying to understand what it is. Just because of the fact of my dad said he had a black belt in karate, so I was trying to find like
Everybody had a black belt in
I'm gonna
karate.
outdo you in something. So I
Yeah.
tried to find whatever I could.
Yeah.
And of course, wrestling kind of helped into the game of jiu-jitsu. So I'm like, this is probably the easiest course.
Yeah, they do tie together really well, right?
They help the grappling background,
Yeah.
but you do get choked out a lot.
Yes. Oh, totally.
Tremendously.
You definitely pay your dues as
Yeah.
a wrestler, trying to transfer over. Like, it's funny to me like how many people I run into that do jiu-jitsu and have never wrestled before, but they've watched wrestling like NCAA or the Olympics.
Yeah.
And obviously the Olympics are more freestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But so they look at it and like, I brought him, a couple of people I've brought to like his meets and stuff. And they're like, I never realized that wrestling is actually on the ground, and they do a lot more on the ground than just the takedowns. I was like, yeah, man, a lot of it is, takedowns are just like maybe 5%.
I think they're making a big deal of it because now you're starting to see guys like, like before Leandro Lowe passed, he's doing single leg takedowns.
Yeah.
He's doing leg snatches.
Yeah.
And, all these jiu-jitsu guys are now starting to add in these blast double legs, and everybody's going, wow, that's amazing. You're going, this has been here forever.
Right.
Now
Right.
because top name guys are doing it, now
Yeah.
it looks cool.
Yeah,
It's like
right.
we've been doing this
Like-
since the 6th grade.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is crazy. I think it's good for the sport. Like, speaking of good for the sport, what do you think of Izzy doing that? Was it Real American Wrestling?
Yeah, Real American Wrestling. I mean, I think it's great for people, but again, him doing that, it's going to mess it up for everybody else. Because it's like, when him doing that, the only people that they're signing is like Kennedy Blades, who's
Yeah.
an Olympic silver medalist,
They are signing like the
Yeah.
elite of the elite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that Bo Nichols is doing,
oh my
which I'm
goodness.
kind of surprised about because he's under contract at the UFC,
UFC, yeah.
and the UFC is very like, they don't like to share their talent. They don't let people go and do other promotions, so it's kind of interesting.
Well, no, they just don't like, UFC just doesn't like them doing other fighting stuff. You know what I mean? Like wrestling is different because it's kind of like
That's still
out
a
of the
combat
realm.
story. You can still get hurt.
Yeah, you could.
I suppose if they're like, I'm sure there's something in that contract clause that says if he's got a signed fight with UFC, he cannot compete in wrestling. There's got to be.
Oh yeah, like if he's a certain amount out, because of how the UFC does it, and because when I did the Ultimate Fighter and I talked to Dana White, how the UFC does it is that they schedule you. They usually sign you to a contract of 3 fights, 3 fights in 1
Yeah,
year, 5
right.
fights in 2. Now, if they don't get you your fights, they have to pay you outright.
Oh, really?
So that's why they try to like put you as close as possible to go. Okay, this is the end of the year. They can sign you to more fights, but only if you're making them a bunch of money. But that's how they do it. So I'm sure that if he has like a fight in December, he's not gonna do a wrestling match in like November or something like that.
I'm wondering when they kick that off, and if it's going to be like these people that they're announcing now. I wonder if it's going to be like these are teams and we're going to do meets, or if it's going to be tournaments or just super fights. Probably just super fights.
It'd probably just be super fights.
I feel like meets are kind of going away, which is sad because I like watching a whole, like this is a team, and like here's our weight, 103 to your 103 to.
Well, it's a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because when you go to, you know how it is when you go to tournaments and you're seeing them wrestle individually, half of you over here, half of you
Yeah.
over there. But
Yeah, and you're
when
scrambling.
when it's a dual meet, everybody's just sitting there, just
Yeah,
watching,
just
waiting for
watching.
the next
Next
moment.
match,
You're
yeah.
just like running
Yeah.
out on the mat and just
Yeah.
drop kick someone if you
Right.
wanted to. Kind of.
Right. I think that's what I like about me.
Yeah.
Like I never looked at wrestling until he started doing it. Like I never looked at it as a team sport. Like so I never paid attention to how many points I'm getting for the team to win, that meet or anything. I always looked at it as like, yeah, we're training as a team. Like you're helping me get better, but once I'm on the mat, it's me.
Yeah.
And that is really how it is. I mean, you could be a teammate cheering on from the side, but it's up to you to do your job
Yeah.
on the mat to get it done. So, yeah, I am interested. I'd like to see that kind of crossover to jiu-jitsu. I mentioned that on a couple podcasts. Like, I would love to see like a wrestling style meet show. Maybe this gym versus this gym, match up your weight classes. Hand in your lineup, get them out there.
Well, they didn't Polaris do it when they like
Polaris, yeah, I think
they did
recently
team
they
versus
did.
team.
Yeah, recently they kind of did do that.
But that was more for the fact of there's not individual weight classes in
Right.
jiu-jitsu. It's like, okay, you're really good. You're going to go against their
Yeah.
really good person
Right.
instead of like, no, let's see who's in the weight class.
Right.
Because I think it's great, especially with dual meets, to where your ace is beating up some scrub or the scrub beats up an average guy. Now you're down by 6, you're up
Right.
by 3. Now there's a different dynamic to it. Who you're going
Right.
to throw in, who you're going to put there.
Yep.
Because like, especially in college when we're very intrigued and okay, if we're up by a lot, we're not going to put this starter in. We're going to put another guy so he can get some time.
Yeah.
If he wins, great. If he gets pinned, now we got to fight back from it. So,
Right.
and that kind of helps us too, because now we're trying to play the game, as they say.
Yeah.
But that's the fun part about it. That's the interesting part. So they start doing that in jiu-jitsu. Me personally, I think it'll pull in more people.
I think so too.
But for the freestyle American wrestling, like, it's great for Izzy because he has top-notch talent. You
Yeah.
know, he has Woods, he has Kennedy, he has people that come out.
Yeah.
But
And he's pretty much developed all of them. Like, they all went through his school.
pretty much, I mean,
I don't know about Bo. I don't know if Bo did or not.
Bo never really did. I mean, it's just a place for Izzy really got big because Kennedy was kind of his first.
Oh, is
But
that right?
we have guys like at Aurora University,
Yeah.
like Justin Perch. He was there for a long time.
Yeah.
He worked with Real Woods, Blades, Lexi Janiak, who won a national title for us. He worked with these wrestlers when Izzy had to leave a lot because he had to travel. So those guys helped build the foundation behind the scenes of Izzy, and then they all split apart
Yeah.
and kind of started doing their own thing.
Perch is amazing too. He's I've been told by several people like he's the best coach in the state, hands down.
Yeah, I mean it's
They're
Yeah,
his,
it's tough.
I don't know how many kids does he have. Does he have just the one?
I think he has 3.
3?
no, he has 3. He has
There's Max.
Max,
Max is-
Mackenzie,
Two daughters,
yeah,
two daughters, right?
and Mackenzie's a stud in soccer. That girl's amazing.
Max is very talented.
Max finally hit that because like in IKWF,
Yeah.
you're either
Yeah.
you come into the new weight class as the little guy
Yeah.
and you get thrown around,
Yeah.
and then once you grow up, now you're the big dog in the weight class.
Yeah, he's that big dog.
Well, Max hit that with the Tulsa, Oklahoma, because he won it, and now he was able to get past that little threshold of like, what, even though I may be the little guy in the weight class,
Yeah.
I can give it to him. Perch is a good coach. He's a nice guy. I've known him for years because when I coached with him at Aurora Christian,
Yeah.
so I coached with him for 4 years at Aurora Christian, and AU's going on my 5th year with him.
You guys were so. I was told recently that Aurora Christian doesn't have a wrestling squad anymore.
No.
But I think they're getting one next year. I don't know how or who's coaching or who's running or anything, but you keep looking back and forth. That's kind of funny to me.
I know, he's like
I see it out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, yeah. Anyway,
no, they're trying to. I think the problem with that is that once COVID happened and we left,
yeah,
Dan Beebe, who's the athletic director, I think wrestling was more of a culture shock to him because he came from like basketball and
Yeah,
football.
football.
And wrestling is
because his brother's Don, right?
yes,
Yeah.
who coaches at AU,
Who played for
So-
who played for the Buffalo,
Buffalo.
Bills?
No, those Buffalo guys.
It's my team. It's my team. Go Bills.
So he just
Is he coaching at AU?
who?
Don Beebe?
Yeah, he's the head coach at AU for football.
Oh crap! I didn't know that.
Yeah, we've literally made the playoffs ever since he came in. I think there was 1 year we didn't make the playoffs. Every other year we made it. But we've lost to Whitewater. We can't beat North Central. He's still trying to grow the program, but
Oh.
it's hard for a D3 program.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, sports for D3 is probably hard to recruit for.
Yes, that's where like not only Perch being a good coach, but he's very blunt. Like he's
Yeah.
very honest. So a lot of wrestlers, when we're recruiting them, he goes, "Hey, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be."
Uh-huh.
So he's able to pull in a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
Especially on the girls' side with Lexi finally win a national title that helped us. One of my heavyweights last year, he was able to qualify for nationals. We haven't had a guy placer yet.
Yeah.
But we're hoping, Perch puts together the right people to bring them together because he always used to joke with me going, if you guys want a friend, Dan and Coach Conrad's a good friend to be with. I'm like, yeah, but, Perch is hard. Meach, one of our other coaches, is hard. We got this new guy last year, Austin. He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
You can't have a room. Me personally, you can't have a room of all tough guys. You got to have someone that can kind of bring it back a little bit and be cool with. And then
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too, right? Because like I am used to not being. I wouldn't say I'm a tough guy, but I do like hard work, right? Like a hard work ethic. I'm used to wrestling coaches being almost aggressive. Well, aggressive, I guess you would say. My wrestling coach used to foam at the mouth when he would yell at us. So that's what I'm used to, and I love that. But like I feel like today, and like nowadays, not that you have to be softer, but like how do you like there's more of a mental game involved, and there probably was back then, but people weren't as spoken about it as they are now. You know, so like how do you guys handle like a wrestler that's had a tough practice? Like they could be an amazing talent. Everyone has hard days, right? So like they could be amazing talent and then just like have one of those, an off day or an off week. Like
How do we deal with it?
yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, Perch and Meech, I mean, we all can be tough at certain points, but you know, with a good coaching staff, it's understanding how the room is.
Yeah.
If you got a guy who's really hard that day, you kind of let the wrestlers ride the wave.
Yeah.
If they have a bad practice, you try to pull them into the office and go, hey, what's going on? What's happening? What's going on with you?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a bad practice. And I always just think of it like this. Like 1/3. Okay, so 1/3 of the time you can have a good practice. 1/3 of the time you're gonna have a bad practice. Another third you're gonna have a great practice.
Yeah.
But you have to learn which is which. Just because you have a bad practice doesn't mean, oh, I'm a horrible wrestler, I'm a horrible grappler. You know, next practice is gonna be bad. Like no, once the practice is done, it's in the head, it's out the head.
It's out the head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you got to kind of shake it off.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Like, I've had, obviously, I'm way older than I was, but like, sometimes I'll have some bad rounds at Peek-a-Pow or whatever, or whatever gym I'm at, and like literally most of the time I'm getting my butt kicked, but I gotta constantly tell myself, oh, it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
Now I don't take it as serious as I used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still, you know, check the ego at the door type thing, you know.
Pretty much, yeah. Because I mean, if when you really think about it, especially at the collegiate level, when you go out there and you go on a practice and stuff like that, it's like, okay, practice is not where you get better. Practice is just where you kind of, you know, put things together and see what works for you. Like my practice is in
it's a
junior.
lab.
I got better in junior college because my coach, John Robinson and Jeff Anderson, they were just like, okay, either you can drill for an hour and 45 minutes or you can wrestle live for an hour and 45 minutes. And I was like, good, I'm done drilling. So I wrestled live for an hour and 45 minutes. And once I got to the shots, I'm like, oh, I can do this instead. That's going to be a lot easier for a takedown instead of trying to force my way, because I was never the biggest guy. You know, at 197, these guys were like muscle-bound dudes.
Yeah.
So that helped me. And then once I got to my other college, that's where more drilling came in. But that little time of just only doing tournaments and only doing live wrestling every single day, that helped me drastically.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask about that too. Like, I feel like drilling is more important than sparring. But I like doing micro drilling, so like progressive drills, you know, and then leading into like a positional sparring, if you will, you know. But like going full out, I do when it's open mat and stuff like that. But like you said, either hour 45 doing live rounds or hour 45 drilling, I probably would have went with the drilling.
Well, it only happened then because like once I got to my other school, now it's going, okay, now we're going to drill and then we're going to live go.
Yeah.
But it's because I was able to kind of put some things together during the live goes in junior college that helped.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to kind of sand off the rough edges during the drilling, and that's also helped my wrestling game too. So, you know, it's just one of those things that you just have to find what works for you. If it's going live for a little bit and then drilling afterwards, or drilling first and then going. Because if you got a bad partner.
Yeah, dude, a partner makes everything.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to James. Like, that's why I said James was like the best kept secret, because he goes in the morning where there's not a lot of people, and he's my size, and like he's a perfect partner, because if you get a good partner, you'll workshop stuff. So it becomes almost like a sparring round without the complete sparring, like not 100%. And it's like, hey, what if I do this? What if I do that?
Yeah, you get the real feel of everything.
Yeah, and like partners everything.
Yeah, because there's been a couple times, especially in college, where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shoot this move 10 times. I need 10 different feels.
Yeah.
I don't care if you fall on your back. I don't care if you put pressure into me. I don't care if you sprawl. I'm doing this 10 times. I need 10 different feels from you. So being able to establish with a training partner does help drastically.
Yeah.
Work games and stuff. So
How do you feel about that, Gabe? Training partners? Are
Yeah.
you a crappy training partner?
I wouldn't say so.
I bet you're a bad training partner.
I think
You're
I'm
one
an
of
okay
you're one of
training
those
partner.
guys that's like you stand there and they're taking shots and you just flop.
just fall. Yeah, one of those.
Is that you?
No.
No. You actually like.
I add some resistance, but I don't
Yeah.
like.
Do you add resistance? Like, are you that guy that's like, all right, they showed what we're doing. Now go do it, and you're
Yeah,
like
you
that
have to
guy's like,
counter
yeah,
to
the
it.
hell you're gonna get me?
Yeah.
No way, I'm sprawling here. Blah,
I know
blah, blah.
exactly what move you're doing.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's not
stuff it.
happening. You're that guy, aren't you?
No.
Yeah, you are.
I would say you're more of like, not the spazzy guy, but you're gonna hit a move out of nowhere, and people are just gonna go, "What was that?"
Yeah, what was that? Why? That's not what we're working on, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, if I get you here, I can just do that, and you're like, "That's not supposed to work."
That's not how this works. Yeah, that's never gonna work live.
Yeah,
that's
and then he
you,
hits
right?
it, and you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, right. That's
This
actually
sucks.
happened. That's happened.
Has it?
Yes. Yeah. That's not gonna work. Oh, shit.
Yeah, you're like watching it, and you're like,
Like, how did he do that?
"Hey, babe, this isn't gonna." Oh, he hit the move.
No,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah, way to be cocky on that one, bro.
Yeah.
way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, Gabe is pretty humble, and he's not very arrogant when it comes to like, oh, hey, look what I did. I did it, and it works.
Yeah,
Told you.
he just gives you that look, like he hits it and just goes,
He does do that once in a while.
exactly.
that is kind of true. But when we were in, he just did it. He just did it at Subspectrum when I thought he was going to go for a slide by in the gi,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's never going to work. The grips are going to stop you from sliding this dude by, and then he hits a flying armbar because that's what he was trying to ask me. Should I do it? Should I do it? I'm like, I have no idea what that look was until
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happened.
And then he just kind of gives you that.
Yeah. It's
So-
like, see, told you.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, just wait till you get home. I'm gonna throw something at your face.
That's right. On the way home.
A loaf of bread.
In the
Just
car.
yeah.
Yeah.
Want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? That's what you get. There
That's
you
what you get.
The bread.
So, girls do freestyle in college,
Yes.
and guys do folk style.
Which I think is the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, I do too.
Like if we're gonna make more American champions,
Yeah,
why don't we just all switch it to freestyle?
that's what I was
Freestyle
thinking too.
comes a lot quicker.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Um,
There's I earlier on I jokingly said like there's no technique in freestyle, but that's not true. There's technique. It's a lot of scramble technique and a lot of takedown defense. There's a lot of good stuff to it.
yeah, but you can really get a lot of free moves, free points
Yes.
from freestyle, which that's
Yeah.
where
Like the push out is kind of it's borderline dumb. There's occasions where I'm like, okay, that's good that it's there, but like take what was that match with Spencer Lee that just happened the Super
oh
Bowl?
no.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
With,
where all he did, like they were in the center of
Pushed him out
the
3 times,
circle,
and
and
just
they're like
knocked
he's
out.
just pushing them straight back. Like that match was so boring.
And then
Oh,
you
it
watch.
was. And there's times too where you'll see people. It was Kyle Dake and I can't remember his name, Zaid.
Mm.
Where Kyle Dake is going for shots, he's attempting,
Yeah.
and then Zaid saw that he was close to out of bounds, so he put his knees on the ground for a grounded opponent. Because if you're grounded on your knees and I
Yeah,
push you out,
it
that's
doesn't
not
matter,
a point.
right?
So, and that's where a lot of the problem comes in because it's like, well, now you're just trying to cheat the game to where, like,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to get pushed out.
Yeah, it's not even a strategy. You're right. It's like you know that rule, so boom, down.
Yeah.
Same with criteria. Like if the match ends with a tie score, go into overtime.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be the last person to score wins. That's just dumb.
Yeah, because I've seen so many people that they're down 2-0 and they're just waiting. And they're
Yeah,
waiting
they
and
stall
waiting.
it.
And then all of a sudden they get 2 points at the end, like the last 20 seconds. And you're just like, ugh. And then
Right.
especially at the end, especially in freestyle, everybody just stalls out like the last
Yes.
10 to 15 seconds
Yeah.
because they know, okay, whatever, I won't get hit for it.
Right. What I do like about freestyle is the rounds, right? Like it's 1 5-minute round, or 2 5-minute rounds, and in between they have to dry each other off.
Yes.
Not each other, but the coaches dry their
Yeah, we
their
give them
approach
air,
enough.
water.
Yeah.
We try to talk to them in between.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's sometimes it's hard. Like there's actually a technique to
Yeah.
the towel thing.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like just give the towel. No, there's
yeah.
a guy and I can't
Yeah.
remember who it was, but he just did it so perfectly where like he looped the towel and he just woof, woof, and a big gust of air is coming back. I'm like, man, you did this for a long time.
Yeah, that I appreciate because then like you're drying them off and then the ref touches you to make sure you're dry. You can't grease somebody up,
No.
you know. So
And besides, I hate the grease too because even when I was fighting, they'd grease your face up.
yeah,
And then as you walk in, you're not thinking about it. You start licking your lips. Now you got dry mouth
mouth,
for 3
yeah.
minutes in a match. Because you licked your lips. I hate that thing. That was so horrible. And they did it for a reason. Like, well, if you punch in the face, you're not going to bleed.
yeah. I hear.
I'm like, yeah, but if I
so
get
it doesn't
punched-
rip your skin.
Yeah, but if you get punched in the same spot 8 times in a row, you're going to bleed anyways.
Right, because even the Vaseline rubs off.
Yeah.
Your sweat like peels it off, and then there's nothing worse than getting like Vaseline in your eyes. You know, that's the sting.
Oh, yeah.
So
You hit a couple times and someone puts their glove and they're
Yeah.
just like that in your eye. And you're like, you can't see out of one eye. It burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun.
not that I've ever done MMA, where I wanted to for a while.
But the Vaseline, you've known, huh?
Oh man.
You walked into that one.
yeah,
Like,
I
I've never
totally
done
did.
fighting, but I know how that Vaseline burns.
I don't even know how to transition that to another. Quick, think of a question.
Yeah, so fighting, you just Vaseline? Yeah, I get it all the time.
Oh my god, that's funny. My face is like bright red. That's hysterical. The best. That's going on a reel.
That's good. That's gonna be a top one right there.
Oh my god. So yeah. Okay, anyway, freestyle. I think if you're gonna, I agree. They should just do 100% freestyle. Folk style is cool. That's what I came up in, but freestyle, there's a lot to be said there, and especially if you're a girl. Like all these girls are going from, IKWF or whatever state they're in WF to, middle school to high school. They're all doing mostly folk style, and
Yeah.
then they're expected to go to college and learn freestyle.
And most of the time, most of these girls that we get, we get some top girls from time to time, but most of the girls start like as a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
So they get 3 years of learning folk style, and then they have to jump into collegiately freestyle when
Right.
other girls have been competing in freestyle and wrestling since they were like 5, 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
There's no way some of these girls can't compete. Because even if you qualify for state as a girl and you place, NAI schools,
Great.
D2 schools, they're
Yeah.
hey, we'll give you
Yeah.
this much money for a scholarship and you don't have to pay for anything.
And girls wrestling's like relatively, it's young, compared to like wrestling in general. I mean, wrestling's the oldest sport, but it's only a decade.
Yeah, but it
Old?
became the fastest.
Oh, it's huge.
The fastest growing
Huge,
sport.
huge. It saved the sport.
Yeah.
It saved the sport from getting banned from the Olympics or exiled from the Olympics.
Yeah.
So, I think that's awesome. There's a lot to be said there, and it's freaking fun to watch. These like Candy Blades is amazing. Her Germans are scary.
Oh, drastically.
Oh,
And she's
scary.
not like I met her at Easy Style. She's not a short girl either.
No, she's
like,
tall.
She's tall.
Yeah,
And
she was at IK State.
Yeah.
Uh,
I could have got an
last year.
autograph
Yeah.
before she became
Yeah.
famous.
Well, she was famous. She just wasn't as. Yeah, she was. It was way before the Olympics. So.
Yeah, but she's always had like a hard outing to where, she had tough girls in a weight class when she
Yeah.
was coming up. She just needed the time.
Yeah.
And now it's great. I mean, her sister is good too.
Yeah.
But her sister she gets a lot of injuries.
Oh,
So
really?
it's hard for her to stay consistent and build it and get better. But
Yeah.
I mean, Kennedy's doing it. Her mom's a great person. Her dad's a great person. It's a great family altogether.
Yeah.
She's gonna be doing a lot of good things, especially over at Iowa. But
Well, that's always been my favorite wrestling college.
yeah, we can't.
So, Dan Gable.
Well, yeah, that's
Why.
that's different.
It was that era.
Yeah,
You know.
that's different.
Yeah. So
When you look at all these wrestlers, you're like, yeah, Dan Gable.
Dan Gable.
No, Tom Brands, you're like, okay, whatever, but
Dan Gable.
it's not Dan Gable style.
No, it's not Dan Gable. So. Yeah.
State, nah.
Penn State is different.
Yeah, they're a whole different. That's different now.
Cael Sanderson is on a different page.
Let's recruit an Olympic finalist.
He
He got
well.
like,
I mean, it works.
how we got Ono. How?
Yeah.
How?
I'm interested to see how he.
Oh, he's gonna redshirt.
Because he has to transition from freestyle to folk style.
Yeah, he'll redshirt his first year
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm curious to see how that goes for him.
Because you can on D1 and D2 you can redshirt. You just can't wrestle up to 33% of your whole season. So you can still get him a couple matches in, but why rush him into it?
Yeah.
He can
Right.
he can come in and take an Olympic red shirt. He can still train with the team, get used to folk style, still do his stuff with Japan and all that other stuff. And then his sophomore year, his athletically freshman year, he'll come in and fill that spot. He'll get after it for the next 4 years.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
You know, because I think I read somewhere he's never done folk style, which makes sense because folk style is really just an American thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like when I fought for M1 Global and we went over to Russia, went to Moscow, and everybody's talking about, all the Americans are like, oh, what's your amateur record? What's your amateur record? And one guy was like 3-1, and another guy was like 6-7, and they look at me and they're like, what's your record? I'm like 11-0. I thought that I had to get like a certain amount of matches as an amateur before I even turned pro.
That's what I thought too.
No, you can literally have one amateur fight and go pro.
Wow.
But then when you go to Russia and you're talking to all these Russian guys and I'm like, hey, what's your amateur record? They're like, amateur.
Amateur.
What are you talking
What's
about?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what you fight before pro? They're like, no. No,
They're
They're doing quick. I'm like, no, it's sink or swim.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're a whole. Well, I've seen videos of how they train too. They're beasts in themselves, you know.
Runs up mountains.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like
Sandbags.
Rocky IV was no joke, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So.
But it's not like that high tech facility. Like I've been to all their. It's in Moscow. They all train at this one big dome.
Yeah.
So like what we have in Colorado is Olympic Training Center.
Mm-hmm.
They have this giant dome where they have judo, cycling,
Wow.
mixed martial arts. They have all these big gyms, these big areas that they can train at, and then they're just like, all right. And it's not like here in America we go, okay, we got 6 people, we got 8 people. No, they have like 30 to 50 people in one room, and that's like their training center. There's no joke with them. Because that's how they're going to initially pay for their schooling, the university, or they're going to pay for their family. And
Yeah, they are 100% in, which is awesome. I mean that, I talk about hard training and hard coaches. That's what I like. Like, I don't like going into a gym. Like, it's cold down here. I want to get some way to heat down here up.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of gyms with air conditioning. I want a sauna. Like, I want to start sweating as soon as I walk in, and then be like on a slip and slide on my way out.
that's how Levels is.
Yeah,
You go in there, it's so
Levels
hot.
is like
You're
that.
just like you're trying to get takedowns. You look like.
Yeah. But they also have that tarp, so I think the tarp adds to that too because the sweat doesn't get absorbed into the mat.
Yeah.
It pools up on, just like I don't know if you've ever been to real MMA. They have
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the same thing. They have a tarp.
Yeah.
And it gets hot in there because they have the hot yoga room right next to it.
They also have like a.
The gym out in front, and
Yeah.
it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
You
have
look-
like a mirror and it gets like fogged up.
Yeah, you can't
Oh
see.
yeah, right in the wall. Yeah.
And then people write hard work on it.
But
And they take pictures.
I love that stuff, man. Like that's my style.
Then you start looking at that guy from Here Comes the Boom, Kevin James.
That's right.
And they were fighting outside. He just kept slipping around.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you feel.
Oh yeah. I love that. Like,
Splash.
and then I've been to the other extreme where they have the AC on, and like, you go in and you have like a short sleeve rash guard, and shorts and spats on, and you're like freezing, and then it takes
Yeah.
forever to warm up, and I feel like that's an injury waiting to happen for me.
Oh yeah, drastically. Well, we came from wrestling, so like
Yeah.
the wrestling room is always like 120 degrees.
Always hot.
26 people in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think a fan is great, but fan is great for like the last 10 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
like just so you can get a little bit of air,
little bit of
and
air.
then like, okay, now we're gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
finish a couple more
there's
rounds.
something to be said about the smell too. So I can understand wanting to circulate the air, but
Well, well, if you can't deal with the smell, this is not the sport for you. Like, this is what we do.
That's a lot of, there's some truth to that.
I get nervous, so I'm like trying to pass someone's guard. I'm just sweating. I'm like, I don't want it to fall in your mouth. I'm so sorry. It's salty.
There'll be times where I'm rolling, I'm trying to pass, and I'll see like drips, and I'm like, oh, I'll be moving my own
you
head.
turn your head to the side, you're like,
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah, that happened to me. I was rolling with Mike Ramoto.
oh yeah.
And he was like, I'm out. His sweat from his nose dripped right into my eye. I'm like, ah! I'm blinded. And they just like,
Well, what are you gonna do?
I'm like,
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
oh, it's a way. I used to get scared because I fought this guy, Brandon Del Prado, and it was one of my bloodiest fights ever. Not on me, it was his blood actually, but it was all down my arm. It was all over my face, and I'm just like.
And when you're sweating, blood's thinner, right? So like it just.
But not even when you're sweating. It's because the problem is that the reason when you jump into the cage and people say, "Oh, you don't feel anything," because your adrenaline's pumping. Well, what happens when adrenaline's pumping?
Yeah, your blood's pumping.
Your blood's pumping. So any opening, it just shoots right out. So I had blood all down my arm, all down my leg. He got a little bit of blood on my face, but I was like trying to do the BJ Penn thing. I was like, yeah. And then after a while, I was like, I hope he got tested. You never think about it in the moment.
Yeah, in the moment you're like, yeah. And then like,
I
a
put
day,
my hands
a day
up.
later, you're like, God, that was disgusting.
Yeah, it's exactly how it is.
You're right though. Your adrenaline's going, and anything could happen, right? So it's like,
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people are like, why are they stopping due to blood? Because it's like
Dude.
his blood's not going to stop. It's going to keep going because now you just open something.
Yep.
It's like opening a fire hose. When you turn a fire hose on, it's fine. But once you open that level, the lever is just going to keep on going.
Yeah.
Same exact way.
Oh yeah. And there's certain spots, especially on the face. Like I when I was in 8th grade, I think. I was just drilling with my drilling partner, Dale Simpson. I don't know if you know who Dale Simpson is.
It sounds familiar.
He was coaching high school, probably in the early 2000s. But anyway, he was really good at doing hit and switches and stuff. And we were drilling, and the way we were taught was, bring your elbow back. My head happened to be there, and he slid it. He slid it. And I honestly had no idea because a lot of times when I'm grappling, I have my eyes closed. And I just thought it was sweat. And then I opened my eyes for a split second, and I see this pool of blood like on the ground, on the mat. And I was like, we should stop. I think one of us is bleeding. And then I went like this. I'm like, yeah, it's me.
Yeah, I do that all the time because it doesn't, for me personally, it doesn't feel like sweat. It just feels super warm. And then you check it and you never know the funny thing about it is that once you check it, you're like, ah!
Yeah, that's when the pain comes in,
you're
right?
Like, you don't know what it is. Like, you're trying to find it. Yeah,
right.
Never.
Well, you know what that's like. You get nosebleeds like every day, right?
I'll go against people who have nosebleeds because I always get nosebleeds. And then when I see the blood on the mat, I'm like, oh, it's not me. Okay.
Yeah, your dad would post pictures on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, look, here's her okay, there's plugging his nose. Oh, look, there's West High. There's plugging his nose.
That's right.
It's like,
he won't be wrestling unless he's bleeding,
Yeah.
We were just talking about a tournament, or not a tournament, it was a meet. No, it was a tournament. It was a tournament where he was bleeding from both nostrils, and it just wouldn't stop. And they plugged it, and the plugs kept coming out.
And they had to tape.
They taped all the way around his head.
Yeah.
With the headgear on.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
And then when I took it off, it was like peeling my skin off. I was like,
oh, because they used athletic tape and not other.
Yeah, because that's all they had, So.
I was like,
yeah, they do it. It's hard. That's why I hate the headgear. I could not stand headgear. But that's why I never had bad ears because the cauliflower is a trauma to your ears.
Yeah.
I'm like, you hit me once, I am not letting that happen again.
Yeah. Right.
So everybody's like, well, I just didn't like headgear just because I couldn't hear anything.
Right. It does it does muffle a lot of the sound.
So that's why my coach in high school used to get mad at me because he'd be screaming at me and I go, huh? I'm gonna look at him. He's like, no, don't look at me, look at him. And I'm like, dude, he ain't going nowhere. He's on the ground.
Did you wear headgear in practice?
No.
No.
Never.
Yeah. I don't think I did either. I don't really remember. I know I didn't get cauliflower until I started jiu-jitsu.
I got a couple times on this ear.
Yeah.
But they had to cut open my earlobe and fix it. So that's why some of the cartilage on the end is bad.
That's what happened to mine too.
But I never if I'm on bottom, you may cross face me one time, but I'm never gonna let that happen again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, you see some guys and they just big hard club. I didn't like to get in a hard hand fight.
No,
The second you start clubbing, I'm shooting.
yeah.
And I'm going to get it.
I never tied up. I just, you know, what's the expression? Shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah.
That was me. Like I
I'm gonna get to something. I don't know what it is.
I wasn't.
Get something.
I didn't want to waste any time. It's like you hear the whistle, I'm at your ankle. You know.
Yeah.
So
I never. I tied up, but again, like I said, I was not as muscular. So going against these guys that are just like these muscle bound dudes, they look at me and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna just beat the crap out of you," and I'm like, "You're not gonna get that far.
no, yeah,
I'm not gonna just lay on the ground and just go punch me."
right.
No, never gonna happen.
Well, yeah, in an MMA fight, it's a lot different than because you're dealing with grappling. You're doing kicks. They can't throw elbows. Well, they can in pro.
In pro, they can.
So,
In amateur, they can't.
yeah.
So I was able to get away with that one, but you know, you also got to add in the fact of how to put weight back on when you were cutting weight.
Cutting weight.
Because I went from the highest I was 238 down to 186 pounds in 2 months, and that
Wait,
was
what?
Yeah,
238.
238 because I was getting ready for arena football, so
Okay.
I was like creatine,
Yeah.
chicken every single day. So I was 238 pounds, and my manager was, "Hey, I got you a fight." And I go, "I thought 205."
Yeah,
And he goes, 2 months, 85. I go, "What?"
that's a big drop.
Always huge.
Wow.
That actually wasn't my worst weight cut.
What did you eat? Chicken and rice?
Yeah. Well, no. McDonald's was my best friend then because they did the chicken salad. So when like my son and my wife and everybody was eating pizza and McDonald's, I'm
Yeah.
just like, this must be great. I'm just chicken and
Crying
salad.
as we-
Yeah. Drinking water. I mean, I still had like some pop every once in a while and a candy bar just for that
Yeah.
sugar. But
Yeah.
that wasn't my worst weight cut. My worst weight cut was Bellator.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
much
it
was
was-
that?
I was probably like 226 down to 185 pounds.
Jesus.
But they messed up. Well, they brought me in early.
How long of a span was that? 2 months? 3 months?
Well, the first fight was 2 months. Everything after that was about 3.5.
That's still a lot.
Well, because what I would do is when they schedule me a fight, I take my current weight and I drop 10 pounds.
Got it.
So I
Yeah.
already deduct
So you
10
already
pounds.
deduct it, yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? Because the night before, I'd do a salt bath and I'd suck out 10 to 12 pounds of water weight.
Right.
the
How long
night
were you in the
before.
salt bath for?
I did 15 minutes in, 10 minutes out.
Yeah.
But what I did differently, what a lot of wrestlers don't do, is that they're like, "Oh, I can't have anything to drink." No, you
No,
should.
you should.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I'd rather.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd rather sweat out 3 pounds, drink 2 pounds, so
Yeah.
I can sweat out another session
Yeah.
of 3.
Yeah, you absolutely should. That's what I do. Like even today, like I say today, like even today, because I'm trying to cut some weight off so I can do like an ADCC or maybe
Yeah.
have a super fight or a reasonable weight that I like to compete at. But like I'll sit in the sauna or I'll do a salt bath, like you said, 20 minutes in, 15 minutes out. But like when I'm out, I'm taking like at least 4 ounces of water in, you know, just to rehydrate a little bit because then that's going to cause your body to sweat more. You know,
Yeah.
like, and otherwise I get like it's.
I
nothing.
usually do like the BAI water,
Yeah.
the flavored water.
Okay.
Watermelon's my favorite, so I would do that. I mean, I drink it just enough to kind of wet the beak, as they call
Yeah,
it, and then
yeah.
I jump right back in there.
Right, and that's exactly what I
Yeah.
would do. But I use just normal water.
Oh, you're one of those water guys, huh?
Out of the tap.
Yeah, but Aurora has some of the best tap water.
Yeah, it does actually.
It's only really good after you get done working out. I'm
It's
like,
very tasty.
I'm like slamming Mountain Dews together and just
Like Steve Austin.
yeah, just with the beers instead. Now it's just Mountain Dew. Bah.
Yeah. No, I think there's right ways to cut weight and then there's wrong ways to cut weight.
Yeah.
And I think if you're waiting till the last minute and just dehydrating yourself,
Like the guy in the middle here.
yeah, it's like the dumbest thing. So I avoid that especially if you know you have a competition coming up and you're weeks, months ahead. Like you're young, so your metabolism will just.
Oh yeah, he'll just jump right back to it.
Your weight fluctuates like 5 pounds in an hour.
Yeah.
but
We
like-
smell grease food and we're like, oh man, I'm so bloated.
That's
Jeez.
10 pounds. Yep.
That chocolate cake looked good.
Yeah.
Did you eat it? Nah, but I gained like 6 pounds just
That's
smelling
right.
it. Yeah.
That's right.
No, actually for Bellator, when I did the Bellator fight, they called me in a week early, so I had a schedule of how I'm going to lose weight. But them calling me in a week early, that messed my schedule up.
Yeah.
So now for Bellator, I'm going in. I'm having to use the little whirlpool that they have in the hotel room. The last pound, it was hard for me to get off, so I ate a sandwich. I had to eat a sandwich, and my coach was like, "Man, you would look like death." Then once I ate the sandwich, drank Pedialyte, color came back.
Yeah.
But my only problem was that night after the weigh-ins, I go and I always take my corner guys out, and I took them out to Golden Corral, and I just destroyed
everything.
Yeah, but the problem was the next day, the fight was going on. This is when I was fighting Jack Hermanson, and the first round went fine. But then at the end of the first round, you know, because you're so used to eating healthy food,
Everything
now
comes back.
all the
Now your
popcorn
stomach,
shrimp
yep,
just sits at
comes
the
right back
bottom
up.
of your stomach.
Yeah.
And now it's my body's trying to digest the grease, but
Yep.
then also try to do cardio. It was not good for me at all.
I often wondered. I always wonder about that. I was gonna say often, but I always do wonder about that. Like these MMA fighters, UFC, Bellator, whatever. They cut all this weight. They're eating healthy for like a month or two, so their body is adapting to that style of eating.
Yeah.
And then they go away in and then have this huge feast. Like who was it that I was just that recently? Like they had like a whole chocolate cake. And
Pat Patterson.
no.
Well, back in the day, what they used to do is you would weigh in backstage.
Yeah.
And then after you get done weighing in, they let you fuel up. And
Right.
most of the time backstage, they'd have like pasta,
Yeah.
something with carbs, something that's quick and easy, Pedialyte. I would mix my Pedialyte with water so it's not so syrupy.
Yeah, you dilute it.
And then like 2 or 3 hours later, then you walk out on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So like they'd go
Yeah, and the scale is just a dummy
they go
scale.
185, and it's like, no, this guy's back. I would go 180, usually 186, and then usually a couple hours later, I'm probably back up to like 193 pounds.
I don't know. That's crazy to me. That's a lot. Like, well, Bo Nichols just said that. Didn't he say you like cut like 35 pounds in like 2 days or something like that?
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. I mean, once you're able to suck the water out. I mean, what they do, and I've never done it. I've done it once, but I've never done it like after a lot of fights.
Yeah.
All you gotta really do is just break that sweat.
Yeah.
Then once you break the sweat, you can lay under a bunch of towels and a sauna suit.
Yeah, I've seen them
and then
do
just
that.
go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna constantly keep sweating.
I cannot sleep in a sauna suit.
Yeah, I can't either.
We used to. You probably did this too when you were in middle school and you had to cut weight, even though they told you not to cut weight. Did you like grab trash bags and cut holes in them and start running?
I did that once.
Yeah.
But because even in, I think my 8th grade year for IKWF, I wrestled 130. I had to cut like 3 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, but my first year I didn't know what it was, so I cut down to like 120 something.
Mm-hmm.
So you cut a hole in the trash bags and you know tie
Right,
it off right
right.
there, and you duct tape
tape it, yeah.
the bottom just so you get the good sweat.
yeah.
But then in high school I always wrestled a weight class ahead, so I was always giving up 10 to 15 pounds.
Yeah. So you were under.
Yeah, so I never had to cut weight in high school. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Background.
Yeah, I was the guy that everybody hated. That
Sure.
they're like, this is horrible. I'm like, this sandwich is great.
Yeah. You're the guy eating
on
the sandwich.
Bus ride to like state.
Yeah, I'm eating. Everybody else, yeah, I almost got into a fight in high school because this guy was so mad at me.
Just eating.
Yeah, his name was Todd Cantu. He was a little short guy, and he got mad at me because I think at senior year I was wrestling 215, but I could not get over 200 pounds. So I'm eating on the way to like a regional match, and he's getting mad at me. You better put that sandwich away. I'm gonna beat you up. I'm like, it's not my fault that
not
you
my fault.
dropped the weight.
Yeah.
Like, I think you should be good enough to jump up a weight class. If you think that your skill is that good, any weight class is fine, except for like 133 against 285.
285. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get in there and shank him a couple times.
Use the shocker.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you just put a piece
Tase
of
him.
tape over your
Tase him.
wrist. And you got a little thick.
Right. Right.
Start stabbing people a couple times.
Cross-facing.
Yeah, right. In the, he's bleeding. Disqualification.
So Gabe, you had wrestling practice today, huh?
Yeah,
How'd that go?
it was good.
Yeah. What they do? What you did weights
Yeah,
weights
we
first?
do weight training, and then we go like, cause it's like it's right by the stadium. Like the weight rooms is in the stadium, and then
Oh, in the
under the
Blue Field
bleachers?
House?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then we go right to the wrestling room.
Are you in the athletic PE or you're in the other one, like with the more machines? because there's 2 of them.
It's like, so you know the stadium. It's like inside the stadium. I don't know if it was
In the
built-
football stadium,
yeah, it was
under the
like-
bleachers?
It was underneath the bleachers.
They probably didn't have that back when you were there.
No, they had 2 weight rooms. They had
They
the
probably had one right next to it, and then one like where an exit is.
Under
Yeah,
the bleachers
so-
probably meant a whole different thing to you.
it's what?
Under the bleachers probably meant a whole different thing to you.
Hey, that's what you try. Man, that was a whole different ball game. That was like, you go to a Friday night. This is don't repeat this, but this is like Friday night, and the girl's like, maybe under the bleachers, and you're like, I'm gonna get a kiss. Yeah, I'm gonna get to second base, and at the time you didn't know what second base was. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I'm just gonna try it. And then you go
We're
down
talking
there.
baseball, right?
Yeah. I'm good at doubles.
We're good at
And
doubles.
she give you a smooch on the cheek, and then she just leaves, and you're like, I'm gonna get a soft pretzel.
I'm gonna go get a soft pretzel. Oh,
Or you just bail out because you don't know. Like, I was very shy in high school, and so girls would be like, my sister would get mad at me and tell my mom all the time, like, there was a bunch of girls at your locker. I'm like, yeah, because my cousin, we shared lockers. So my cousin was there, and they're like, no, they like you. I'm like, just running away. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm
That's
just
cool.
here for food.
That school is pretty big.
But they got, yeah, they
It's-
drastically got
Like
bigger.
you talk about sharing lockers, like
It's like
it.
2,000 kids.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's kind of amazing. Like you're probably used to it now. You know
Yeah,
your way
now-
through.
now it's
But like I walk in there, I'm like, where the hell am I? Where's the gym?
Oh yeah, because it messes me up because they're like, okay, the gym's over here, awesome.
Yeah.
Like the blue field house, I know where that's at. The red field house, huh?
Yeah. What's that?
What's the red field?
Yeah, I'm
Thanks.
like, what do you mean red? And then you walk in there, it's not even red.
Yeah.
No, it's
He-
just field
Like at
house.
least with the blue field house, you got a blue track.
Yeah. They had a wrestling meet at Wheaton Warrenville South, which is where I went. And I driving up, I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Get to go see my old school and stuff. I walk in, I'm like, field house? What the hell's that?
Yeah.
When did that get here?
Where was-
that,
what?
that didn't exist. I'm like, where's the wrestling gym? Let's go check that out. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. And like when I went there, they built it. And like they had just built that gym specifically for the wrestling gym. I couldn't find it. So I'm like, all right, I'm lost. We're leaving.
Yeah, it's
I'm
hard.
pretty sure when I was in middle school, we went to go see your wrestling.
Yeah, we
high
did
school.
because they had a heritage night or something like that. So we went and met up with a lot of old teammates. So that was fun.
Yeah, it's crazy because when you start going back to your old school, like I had a friend of our family's and she played basketball at West, and then me and my son, we would walk over there and I'd see Coach Wallace from the Black Hawk Kids Club.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other guy's name? Drake or something like that? The guy with the not shaved head, but it looks like Colonel Guile from Street Fighter.
From the club?
Yeah, from the club. He's a coach now from the club. I knew all those guys, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on, Vizcaya?" And I'm like, "What's up, turd?" You know,
What's up, turd?
just messing with them because I'm not the same guy as before. I got some weight to me now, boy.
Okay, I'm not so small.
Yeah, what's up? These hands are ready to eat for everybody,
Not cutting weight no more.
right? Let's get the sandwich in.
Let's get that sandwich.
Yeah, but I remember walking in there for the first time and going, "My name's gonna be up on one of those boards." Because, they had the boards of
Yeah,
everything, the takedowns, escapes. And I went there
Yeah.
when, Izzy Martinez was there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good luck taking his weight class. He was on his 3rd title. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be up there. Never happened.
Well,
But it happened in junior college and college. So
it's on some wrestling room. So that's what matters.
at
right?
McKendree, yes. At Wabansi, no.
Yeah.
Because they got rid of the program.
I was
and
gonna say
they're not
Wabansi doesn't
bringing-
have a wrestling program
No.
anymore. I was just talking to one of the guys that's at Peekapau. He's going to Wabansi now, but I think he's transferring over to AU because he wants to do wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
So,
see that. It's either that or was it Harper Community College, Joliet Community College? Those two places have wrestling. But,
Really?
I mean,
Where are they considered being a community college? They're not
NJCAA.
Okay. Interesting. So do you look at when you scout? Do you look
Yes.
at those? Yeah.
Because it's like, and what makes it hard for the young kids, it's like a lot of college coaches, they're not, unless you're a superstar, and this is not for everybody, but unless you're like a phenom or a superstar, it's very hard for
get
these
noticed.
kids to come straight into college,
Yeah.
To where, why would college guys waste their time and try to bring in a guy at a high school that doesn't know how the schedule works, how the class works?
Right.
doesn't understand it, and then all of a sudden you can pull up a junior college guy that knows how the classes are structured. Already has a year in it. He can hit the ground running, especially since we can't redshirt anybody at D3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we can't.
I guess that makes sense, right? Because you're not. Well, they're not doing a 5th year there.
Not yet. They're talking about it because we can't compete with D2 and D1 schools. When they got Olympic red shirts, they got red shirts. They can offer athletic scholarships. D3, we can only offer academic, and it messes us up. So we can't recruit a lot of people that we really want because, like I said, you're any good. We can't. You have good grades. We can't give you money on an athletic scholarship. We can give you academic. So you go to a school like us and be like, okay, we'll give you 10 grand to come, but that's all we can give you.
Yeah.
But then you can go to an NAIA school or a D2 school and
they get donors.
Yeah, like, we'll give you 10 grand and we'll also throw in another 10 grand because you're a good athlete.
Yeah.
That's 20 grand right there. Why are you going to?
Like Bo Bassett, right? Bo Bassett had like $1 million ride or something
He
like
had
that.
they said it was supposed to be $5 million.
Yeah,
I don't think it was more 3.
And then he accepted. Now he's like backing out.
Well, the reason he's backing out is because the word on the street is he wanted to train. So he wanted to train with the team, but technically he's still a high school kid. Now with the NIL deals, what a lot of people do is they go, you know what, this anonymous donor donated money for him to stay at an apartment because if you're training at RTC, you can only be within a certain amount of distance, miles, you know.
Yeah.
So if he's not doing that, technically him training at RTC at Iowa, that's a breach of contract. It's illegal. So he has to be living within the area to train there. And he wanted to train there. And then they were like, yeah, we can't do that. So I think they made promises to where they can't keep. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to book out. So it's going to be Oklahoma State.
That's where you're going to go?
I guarantee you.
Really?
Yeah. I go to Penn State.
Because he's in Pennsylvania.
He's in Pennsylvania, but...
I mean, I agree. I know where you're going with this. Why go to Penn State?
That Jax guy is in his weight class right now, the guy you can't beat.
And they're all stacked.
Yeah.
So his mat time is going to be limited. Why would you go there? And that's why I thought he chose Iowa to begin with. So, I mean,
it was between that and Oklahoma State, but I think because they gave him more money at Iowa, he didn't go Oklahoma State. But now it's like a great time. I mean, someone even said like Cornell. Like he's never going to go to Cornell. No.
Yeah, I don't see that.
I see him at Oklahoma State because of David Taylor and what they're putting together over there. Yeah. It's just amazing. I don't see him at Penn State.
I don't see him at Penn. Like I said, Penn State is stacked. Yeah, and his mat time is going to be it's not going to be what he wants.
Especially for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like I don't see anything right now that anybody it's pretty much it's Ronnie Coleman style in bodybuilding. Okay. Yeah. He walks in and goes, okay, who's coming in second? Because that's really all you have to shoot for.
Right. And most people in wrestling don't want to shoot for second. You don't wrestle to shoot for second. Like you don't sign up for a tournament and be like, oh, I just want to get a silver.
Yeah.
You know, who does that?
I think, well, it's good for Oklahoma State because this is going to be David Taylor's like second year in.
Yeah.
So I think how it's going to go in the rankings, especially for nationals, is Penn State's going to win. They're probably going to win by a landslide.
He's still a junior though, right? Isn't he a junior in high school?
Yeah.
So he's still got one more year of high school left.
Pretty much.
It's crazy.
I think he's.
It's crazy to think that somebody is willing to fork over that amount of money for such a young kid. You know.
Well, it's the potential that it could develop into because he's the eyes and the ears of wrestling. Like you look at people that beat him.
Oh yeah.
Who do you talk more about?
Yeah.
Bassett.
Yeah.
So drawing that in is going to draw more fans in and these outside donors. It's the same thing with like judo. My guy that I train judo with, when these guys go overseas, you have to be a top competitor to go overseas and do the Olympics. And even he was a training partner for Paris in 2024.
Wow.
And the guy that was competing in his weight class in Paris was from Paris, like that area. So they didn't have to pay him to fly out. So the guy that was in the Olympics is from there. And my friend was just a training partner.
Wow.
But now he's trying to shoot for the 2028 games because they don't have to pay all this money because judo is an outside donor. So it's like random people. It's usually like the New York Athletic Club that
Yeah.
sponsors a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah.
They sponsor a lot of American judokus is what they call it, to travel. But,
That's cool.
you know, you have to do all these tournaments and, you know,
Yeah, you have to meet a
certain criteria,
yeah.
point-wise.
Right.
And sometimes the best guy at your weight class, sometimes he couldn't go to certain tournaments and couldn't compete, and, well, he doesn't have the most points.
Right.
So it's like second or third, but it's weird. It's an odd thing to do.
All right, shifting gears here a little bit, because you got some tattoos.
Yeah.
What was your first tattoo?
It was the one on my arm here.
Is that a tribal?
Yeah, it was a tribal, because at the time it was like, you know.
Do you just have the two? The one on there
Which one?
and then the one on your elbow?
No, I have arm, elbow, shoulder, and then right here on the ribs.
Yeah.
So the first one was just stupid because I was
was
trying to
that-
be intimidating.
Is that
the tribal
I would say
year.
that phase of life, but it was like that generation maybe or time.
Well, I was
where
hoping
everyone was getting
to-
tribals.
Yeah, I was hoping to.
Either that or the barbed wire. You don't have barbed wire.
I don't have barbed wire. No, I was hoping to get it like going up my shoulder and onto
Yeah.
my neck and stuff. Kind of make me look a little more intimidating. And then after that one, every other tattoo that I have like means something to
Yeah,
me.
that's what I was going to ask. Is like,
Yeah.
what's the one on your elbow?
So the one on my elbow, it was for my uncle. So my dad, like, he wasn't a great guy growing up.
Uh-huh.
So a good father figure in my life. I attach more of myself to like my coaches.
Yeah.
So my high school coach is George Dice and Haymonic. Big father figures in my life.
Yeah.
Jeff Anderson and John Robertson, my junior college coaches, 2 years with them. You know, they were telling me all the time, yeah, you got potential, you can do it, you can do it. So the belief in me, I never really had that with my dad.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't fun growing up. But my uncle, he was a big father figure in my life because he always kind of gave me the, hey, you can do it,
do
you
it.
just got to work
He's
hard
pumping
at
you
it.
up.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's kind of giving me that gusto.
Yeah.
So his favorite song was "Here Comes the Beatles." "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles.
Beatles. Yeah. That's
So
a good song.
this whole arm, eventually, I want to get to here, then to here. This whole arm is gonna be black and white. So I want to keep it the same theme. So I got the tribal sun on my elbow. So now when they do a tattoo, I'm gonna tell them like, do not touch this
Do not
tribal
touch
sun.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else you could change, do not touch
yeah.
that.
That's cool.
This one on my arm. This is the Superman tattoo.
Okay.
So stuff
Yeah, yeah.
around it. So
The hope.
the what?
His that's the Superman logo, right? The S.
Yeah, the S in the middle.
Yeah. The S stands for hope. Don't ask.
So-
I don't. I'm not that big into comic books, but I know that.
At first you said that, I was like, wait, what do you say? Hope?
Yeah.
I thought you
Hope.
said ho.
Hope.
Stands for ho. I'm like, wait,
It's a
ho,
hope.
what?
No, that goes on your lower back.
Yeah, that's it right there. There you go. Was it? Come on.
so,
no.
so Superman. What,
This-
what brought that on? Just because?
No, so the first, and my grandma recently just passed. That was the very first comic book that my grandma gave me was a Superman one.
Okay.
So now this arm is done. No other
You're not doing
tattoos.
anything else
Nope.
there?
I'm gonna do this arm right here, and this arm is gonna be untouched. And then I have Mandarin right here that says never quit because believe it or not, when I was coming up in high school, I wanted to be a sumo wrestler.
Really?
I wanted to go to Japan or China and just eat, train. I wanted to do the works. Like I was it's funny. Isn't it?
That hey.
I think it was just because I was a chubby kid and I got picked on a lot. So I think that anything that I could have done to make myself bigger or intimidating or just this massive sure size, I'm like, well, they get to eat all day and train all day.
Yeah.
I'm down for that
That's what
one.
Screw this weight cutting stuff.
Yeah, forget this. I didn't even know.
Give me a pie.
Some guy was just like, hey, you should jump into wrestling. And I was like, okay.
Okay, why not?
But that's where it kind of, like I said, because my dad wasn't a great guy. So I played whatever sport I could.
Yeah.
I don't care if I was good at it, just whatever sport I could, just to stay away from home.
Yeah.
So I did everything. So that's kind of how it
it-
panned into it.
You mentioned like coaches being like a big influence.
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes to me because my coaches were a big influence on me growing up, and I feel like if that's another thing that's awesome about wrestling is that the coaches that put their heart and soul into not only the sport but the athlete.
Yeah.
That to me is what makes you could not know every technique. No one knows every technique, but you cannot know all these techniques. My wrestling coach, he never wrestled a day in his life. He learned wrestling out of a book, and then he taught it. That was my very first wrestling coach, and he was probably the most impactful coach in my life. So
Yes, I think it's because
which probably says a lot about my wrestling and how terrible it was. No, looking back at that.
like I got this book. I started learning. He's like, yo, Gabe's like, what? Out of a book?
Is the book called like How to Wrestle?
Yeah,
Wrestling
something like
for
that.
Dummies.
It was Dan Gable's book. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
was it?
No,
Oh,
it wasn't.
he did come out with a couple books.
He did, but
In the West Room, there's like a big book, and it's like How to Wrestle. And it's just on like
It-
one of the windowsills.
honestly,
yeah.
Gabe, it could have
What is
been.
this?
It could have very well been something like How to Wrestle, something like that. But I don't know. I found that out many years later about that. So
But I think it's the fact, especially with wrestling, with coaches, it's just you just want somebody to be there.
Yeah.
Like when we go to
Yeah.
war, and that's the same thing with like military. When they form a bond together to when
Yeah.
I go to war, we go to war.
we go to war. Yeah.
So when a coach is there, and especially with me for coaching at AU for 5 years, well, coming up on my 5th year, I feel old. Because now I got the same kids that helped start the program and they're graduating.
Yeah.
And now they're not coming back. And it's like, I think a lot of coaches stop just because for me, I give a piece of myself
To
every single
absolutely.
buddy. I talk to them. I try
Yeah.
to be more of a mentor just because of how coaches were to me. So all the wrestlers that I talk to, it's coming from a real place. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is how it is.
It's genuine.
Yeah.
I feel that, man. That's now that I'm like teaching more and coaching, especially the younger kids in jiu-jitsu and wrestling, like it speaks volumes, man. You have a huge responsibility as a coach, not just to be teaching a move and then going home making dinner, but like you have a big impact on another person.
Yeah.
And especially at like a young age, or in your case, a young adult, it goes a long way. There's things that you're teaching them that even if it's related to wrestling, they'll take with them for life.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So there's
just the thing that we think about it now, with you being your age and me turning 40, I still remember my coaches.
Yeah.
Like how much a coach changes a life
absolutely
drastically, with and I think it attached more to me because how I grew up to where it's like I need that father figure, and they were there, and I can rely on them. I can count on them. So they change lives and they help a lot of people out.
Yeah.
But you never realize that until you start getting older. Like, man,
Yeah.
they were such impactful in my life just because they were there.
Yep. Yeah. It's you're 100%. I was in behavior classes when I was in middle school, and it was mostly like I had a learning disability, not because I was like throwing chairs across the room, which did happen, but it wasn't me. Promise, it was not me. I was in the room, wasn't me that did it. But
This other chair came out of nowhere.
because of that, like I always had like I was always frustrated trying to communicate with people, like you're not understanding me, so then I'd lash out. But he had saw that, and he worked with me outside of wrestling, and then got me out of those behavioral classes. So like when I say he changed my life, he changed my life. Like the whole jiu-jitsu changed my life or whatever.
Yeah.
A coach is what changed your life. It wasn't necessarily the sport. Yeah, it can be related back, but that coach, that leader, changed your life and was the impact.
Yeah,
So,
it's for a lot of people, especially in general. It's your legacy is not, for me personally. My legacy is not depending on me being a pro athlete in arena football or MMA, winning belts and titles and all
Yeah, it's
stuff
not
like
your
that.
record.
That turns into dust collectors.
Yeah.
The legacy is the type of stuff you leave behind because. When you're gone, people don't walk up at your eulogy and go, man, this guy had like 18 belts and, these organizations, 21-4 record as an amateur and pro. They don't do stuff like that. There was like,
totally.
he was a great person. He was able to help his, lend a helping hand.
Yep.
He was a coach. The legacy is what you leave behind and not, what you do in the moment.
Absolutely. That's kind of why I came up with the name here too, right? So like, if I had thought about this earlier, do you drink whiskey?
I've tried it a few times.
Yeah. So I like whiskey. So my original thought was Grappling Legacy Lounge. I like whiskey. You usually drink whiskey in a lounge. And legacy, what am I leaving behind?
Yeah.
It's a way to give back. you know, it's him, it's his brother, his sister, or whatever, right?
But when you get the chairs, you're gonna have a little whiskey on the side.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just like,
I plan on having. Yeah, there's another reason for the bar.
There you go. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I totally, dude. I can relate to everything you're saying there. Like, giving back. You get to a point where you just want to start giving back.
Yeah.
So, and creating that bond is awesome. As long as it's in. There's some creepers out there, but we won't get into that. That's a whole nother freaking.
That's where the chairs came in.
Podcast. So, yeah. I get frustrated thinking about that. Anyway, cool. Do you want to talk about anything else, or should we wrap this up? Want to wrap it up?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cool?
Yeah. Hey, whatever. I'm just like a fat girl at a candy shop. I'm just enjoying the time.
All right, we'll wrap it up. It's good having you on this. Dude,
It was
I'm
fun.
so glad that
I've been talking about wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah, dude.
And then when you asked me, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here. So. And awesome technique. So that video will be out too. It's all wrestling. So, which is form of grappling, man. You know, it's not just being on your feet. It's all not just takedowns. It's not just defending takedowns. There's a lot to wrestling. So, all right.
Yeah, it's a cup of coffee in the big time. Yeah,
Cup of
Cup of coffee.
Yeah. If someone wanted to reach out to you for like questions about wrestling or anything in general, right? How can they find you?
Usually on Messenger, Instagram. I think my Instagram post is dan.vizcaya.100.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, I just post funny stuff there. But yeah, usually on Messenger.
Yeah.
Like they can get a hold of me, and you know, I'm actually trying to set up. Maybe start doing seminars for jiu-jitsu gyms. Dude. On like just wrestling, like takedowns and things like that.
Do you do privates?
I've done them before. He's always like hardcore. He's like, you gotta get like a round table.
I really gotta get these chairs.
Well, no, like you gotta get like a camera. Like if he's sitting there, you gotta get a camera looking at him, camera looking over here, so you can just.
I have 3 cameras. I have to figure out. So I need like somebody to work the laptop because you can't. It won't like automatically
switch.
Yeah, somebody actually has to press a button.
Yeah.
At least for the program that I have, I don't have an automatic switcher that would.
Yeah,
Hey,
you
this
can do
microphone's
that.
going. Switch to that. That would be awesome. So
No, I do privates here and there, but it all depends on the person.
yeah,
You know, it's like, hey, I want to do this. Cool. Because, like, you know, my style is very different. My style is never like, hey, Gabe, this is what you got to do. I'm more like, let's try it.
let's try it.
Let's go for broke, you know?
And that's stuff I appreciate. Like you workshop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I find that is way better than being like, okay, you can only hit a single leg this way because that's the only way it's going to work. No, there's a billion different ways.
Yeah. Because when we first started talking to Gabe and, you know, showing up at Blackhawk tournaments and stuff like that, I started realizing him being more lanky. He likes like the picking ankles and like ducks and stuff like that. And so many coaches are like, well, you know, we go against a guy, it's not going to work. I hit duck unders now in 285-pound kids.
Yeah.
Easy.
It'll work.
So I've always take what you're good at, and we're going to amplify that.
Yeah, me too.
So
that's how I think the same way. Like kids in jiu-jitsu, right? Like we have a girl that goes to our gym. She hits arm bars left and right, and then she wanted to go and try something else. I was like, that's great, let's do it. And it wasn't working out. I was like, well, you're really good at the arm bars. Let's build off of that.
Yeah.
You know, there's many ways to hit an arm bar. There's many ways to hit a single. There's many ways to do a lot of things. You know, you don't just have to have one setup.
No.
So, cool.
Yeah, no, we just got to work with Gabe on
Everything.
his being in front. Well, not like that, but like his being in front of the camera and talking.
Yeah, I'm doing this.
Doing this. I'm like, what's my sign out? You know?
Yeah, what's your sign out?
He's like throwing this. What could you think of? What comes naturally?
Safety or surprise, the